What's goody, everybody? It's your girl Nat Clark, and we're back here on another episode of the Nat Clark Show. And we have a special guest with us. He is actually my partner in crime, my friend, somebody I've known since March of 2025. We have worked together. We did tournaments together during our internship with the AJGA. He is a Detroit fan, big sports Detroit fanatic, whether it's the Lions, whether it's the Pistons, whether it's the hold on, Lions, Pistons, you name it. He's from Detroit, and his name is Brendan Bommarito. Brendan, how you doing, my guy?
Good, Natalie. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Of course, of course. So we've always talked about sports since like when we were away, whether it was,
Mhm.
well, I mean, during that time, well, it was March Madness, so we definitely talked a lot about basketball, some about football because you are an avid Lions fan. But just tell me like about your experience growing up near that area. Actually, tell us where you're from, but also just tell us about you going to games as a kid and things of that nature.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Michigan. The good thing about Michigan is you could show on your hand right here where I'm from. I'm from Shelby Township, Michigan. It's about right in there. And
Okay.
big thing for me when I was younger was always basketball. That's why I enjoyed having you, and we could just talk hoops. Like I like talking to someone who just actually understands the game of basketball and can look at it from like a different perspective than someone who just is a box score watcher. You see what's actually happening on the floor. So that's why I
Right.
enjoyed talking to you in our downtime about hoops, especially when we had March Madness going on. But
Exactly.
yeah, I grew up in Shelby Township, Michigan. Basketball was always a big thing. I played all sports, baseball, football. Only thing I didn't play was really soccer. I don't have really good foot-eye coordination. But I played basketball all the way up through varsity in high school and pretty much gave up every other sport after my freshman year of high school and just went basketball. And that was my main focus. Going to games as a kid,
Yeah.
there was a lot of Pistons back at the
Okay.
Palace. We had the Palace of Auburn Hills when I was younger. Now that's at Little Caesars Arena down in Detroit. But the Palace, the Palace was a special place. Anybody from Michigan, from Detroit, will tell you that we missed the Palace. Just the atmosphere there, it was different. It felt kind of more like smaller and cozy, but I feel like that makes it louder in there. And it feels like a more home feeling.
Right.
Not that we were ever good. I unluckily grew up in a time right in between. Detroit's on the comeback now, and we'll get to
They
that later.
are. They are, and we're gonna
But,
get to that. Yeah.
I grew up right after. I mean, Pistons won it in '04. I was 2 years old, and Tigers won it way back. Wings won it a couple times when I was just a little baby. So I kind of grew up in the dumps to where you can't call me a bandwagon on any of these Detroit sports teams because when I was going to these games, the only playoff game I ever saw in my life for the Pistons was LeBron, Kyrie waving bye bye to us, and they swept us when their first year in Cleveland. I think that's the only time we made the playoffs in my life besides this past year. Um, Tigers games. I mean, that's this thing that in Detroit, everyone you got a free day or free weekend day, you just go down there, Comerica Park. It's one of the most beautiful stadiums. That's what I realized going around. We went to see a Mets game, went to see a Braves game. Personally, I know I'm biased. I would take Comerica Park over both of those. Just seeing like a city skyline in the back of an MLB field, that's ideal,
Yeah.
and that's what we got here. The crazy thing about it though is I did not go to a Lions regular season game. I went to a couple preseason games. I did not go to a Lions regular season game until 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I was the biggest Lions fan, but I mean, it was kind of warranted. We sucked. We were never anything. The Lions were the joke of the league for our whole lives. So it was the
Yeah.
Browns and the Lions. Oh, the Lions haven't made the playoffs since 1991. But since then, I've been to, I think, 6 Lions games, including the playoff game against the Rams. And I think those are my favorite out of all of them. Just, I mean, I know we're phenomenal now and the city's behind us, but those have been my favorite. Detroit is a great sports town. I don't know if you can call us underrated. I think we get our due. We're one of the OG sports towns, but I think I could not picture a better place to root for sports than Detroit.
Awesome. I love that. I love like, and you're from a pretty like big town slash city. Like you said, Detroit is like what 45 minutes, if that, from your
Yeah,
hometown.
maybe 30, 45 on a game day, but 30 minutes from Detroit. I'm a very suburban kid. I'm not going to say I
Okay.
live in the city or anything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm right close to there, and then Auburn Hills, where the Palace was back in the day, is about the same distance the other way. So I was always I'm down at games wherever I can now. I go to at least a couple for every sports team for the past couple years.
Oh, that's tough, yo. Just to go to like different professional sporting events, like that's always been nice. Like, I think
Hmm.
for me, being in like a small area where we don't really have professional sports, because I'm from like that Virginia Beach area, so the closest professional game I would have to go to would be like DC, and that's still three and
Hmm.
a half hours. But for you to just
Right.
go 35 minutes to 45 minutes cross town to a to a Lions game or a Tigers game or even the Pistons, like that's what's up. I want to ask you
No, you're
too.
right. I definitely take that for granted. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, I have all the teams. I could go see whatever game I want. On Tigers
Yeah,
game, I just make a day. Say, hey, it doesn't even have to be like planned out in advance. Just hey, you want to go to the Tigers game tonight? Get tickets for like $20, and then me and my friends just go down there. So yeah, I definitely do take that for granted. It is amazing.
so growing up watching, I actually grown up going to the games compared to now. I know there's an increase in ticket prices. Like you said, the Pistons are on the come up now within this past year, this past playoff stint. So has it like from you just noticing like fans going to the games, has it been a big change in attendance as far as going to those games?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Lions are one thing because everybody loves football, and the weird thing about Michigan and Detroit is even when we were 0-16, that place would still sell out for some reason at Ford Field.
Yeah.
So that's always been there, but huge attendance in. I mean, Pistons games where you could get in for like under $10, and just go, and the place would be dead. And that's how it was for my whole life. I mean, me and my dad's favorite thing to do was just we'd get tickets and then just weasel down all the way down low because no one was down in those seats. They were
Right,
all
yeah.
open. So we would just by the fourth quarter we're sitting third row because nobody's there and we're losing by 20. But so that's been a huge increase in attendance for sure. Um, Same thing with the Red Wings and Tigers. I mean, Tigers are the best team in baseball right now, and that place is sold out on weeknights, and that's like a 162 game season. So there definitely has been a jump in, and I mean, being in Detroit with football being the main thing, and Jared Goff and his
Yeah.
chants that they would do those Jared Goff chants at Pistons games, at Tigers games. Like that's when you see that, like with our teams being good now, I think you could kind of see it puts the world on notice how good of like a sports town that our fans are that diehard for their teams.
That's awesome. That's
Hmm.
amazing, yo. So, okay, I also have another question. So, you grew up playing basketball,
Hmm.
football, and a little bit of baseball, but you picked up golf from what you told me
Mm.
during what COVID year,
Yeah.
just about like 5 years ago. So, how did that start out for you? You kind of told me a little bit of the story, but I kind of want to hear it again.
No, yeah, like I said, I mean, you play all those sports, and like I was playing organized sports my whole life, doing that on teams and stuff like that, and just I love to compete against my friends and other people. And yeah, you could play pickup basketball here and there and stuff, but during COVID, you couldn't do anything.
Anything, yeah.
And me and my friends are just looking for a way. Like we're all play these sports together. We're all athletes, and we just want to do something. None of them golf, but there was this great, phenomenal organization. I honestly owe my life to this organization, and it's called Youth on Course. In Youth on Course, you could sign up for this if you were under 18 years old. I think we were all 18. We had the last year of it. We were seniors in high school. You sign up for this, and you could play about 10 courses in our area. Golf is usually anywhere from $50 to $100 for a round of golf, depending on how nice the course is. And we'd play for $5 for 18 holes. That was a deal, just because they wanted to get kids into golf. I mean, golf was always looked at as the old man's game, and
Mm-hmm.
this organization was looking at trying to get youth on the course, youth on course. So that's we all signed up for that, and we were just like it was like a wave around our county here that everybody signed up for this. The courses started losing money, I bet, because it was all just kids playing for $5 out there. I swear everyone in my town got into golf at the same exact time. And it was a blast. I mean, nobody was really working.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone either had got laid off because of COVID or didn't have something because they were in school. I remember I was just door dashing, and every time I
Yeah.
wasn't door dashing, I was golfing. and I probably golfed 4 to 5 days a week during that time just with my friends because it's all we could do to hang out with each other. And I mean, the best thing about that is we all sucked at the same time because golf is so hard, especially I know you're a competitive person too. Like,
Yeah.
especially with yourself. Like you probably expect yourself to be good at everything you do right when you do it. And you
Right.
want to be good at everything you do right when you do it. And golf is so the opposite of that. And you really do suck for a while before you get the hang of it. And it's so frustrating. But you
Mhm.
just hit like one shot around that you're like, whoa, that felt different. That I want to do that again. I want to do that
Yeah.
again. I
Yeah.
want to do that again. And you chase that. And it's a battle with yourself, and that's why I like golf. Is like you could just go to the range or play by yourself and still be competitive against yourself in some weird way because it's such a mentally and physically challenging game to perfect. And that's why I love golf. Plus, I love gambling too, and you're playing with your friends,
Oh yeah, I
and
know.
that's just it's the best
We
way to.
know.
I have some very very close friends. That's pretty much 90% of the time I see them in person. It's just on the golf course, and it's the perfect way to hang out with your friends. You could drink, you could drink and lay back and have a chill round, or you can lock in and have a competitive round for some bragging rights.
Yeah.
So that's why I love golf, and that's what kind of led me to working in the AJGA, just because that's I wish I played more pickup basketball right now because that still is like my sport at heart. But
You're right.
golf is
Yeah.
definitely the thing that I do on a weekly basis. If I miss golf for a week, I'm itching.
Itching like we were at the internship.
You saw it
Watching.
firsthand, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
watching
that's the
those
worst part.
courses.
We're watching these kids
Watching
play
the courses.
at these
Yeah.
beautiful courses, and I just got to sit there and watch them. And all you want to do is go out and play these beautiful courses, and sometimes you can't. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was torture sometimes.
Oh yeah, I bet. I bet that would be me in the basketball court, and you always tell me about that.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's also how you started out, like ground zero, along with other people too. I think that's what
Right.
I feel like that what's make it better because not only were you new to the sport, but most of your well, basically all your friends were new to the sport, and most of the people in your town as well. I think that's what makes it fun, like how y'all came from ground zero, worked your way up, and now y'all are avid golfers, just going out on a weekly basis. That's what's up. Like
Hmm.
that's tough. Um, Speaking of the AJGA, we both were travel communications partners, but before the
Duo.
AJGA, perfect duo, top. We're not gonna say top two because we number one, but
Top
anyway,
two, but we're not two.
top two, not two, like you said. But before the AJGA, you worked with Big Ten Network, and
Hmm.
you're also Spartan Network for MSU. So tell
Hmm.
us about your experience with that. How was it working for them and just getting that experience beforehand?
That was honestly like the best experience of my life. Like it was a turning point in my life to where I always loved sports and wanted to do something in sports, but I didn't know if that was even possible.
Hmm.
And I went into Michigan State with a business major starting out. I was in COVID, so I didn't even get to go there my first year. And my sophomore year, when I was on campus for the first time, I just took a sports journalism class as an elective. And my professor ended up being uh, this lady called Lorianne Dickerson, and she's the wife of Dan Dickerson, who is the play-by-play commentator for the Tigers, and he's been that's like the voice of just my childhood for 20 plus years, however long I've been alive. He's been the voice of the Tigers, and it was his wife that was teaching the class, so that kind of made me want to take the class in the first place. And I just talked to her one day after class, and I was like, "Yeah, I love your class so much." She's like, if you love sports this much, you should come after school. It was just a club at that time called Spartan Sports Report, and she was like, "You should come after school and just hang out. We do it on Monday nights. You can just kind of hang out the first couple nights, and if you want to be a part of this, then let me know." And I did, and they have this beautiful newsroom that they invested millions of dollars in at Michigan State. LA was a big part of Lorianne. We called her LA. She was a big part of getting the money to build this newsroom at Michigan State. Just beautiful desks, cameras, everything you need to have just a great, good quality sports show.
Cool.
And I mean, the people there were amazing. Like the one thing that I can connect to whenever I'm at a job or anything is if you just like talking about sports, any sports, like you were talking about basketball, but everyone there is from Michigan or went to Michigan State. So we're all talking about the same stuff. Fell in love with the people there, fell in love with the show, wanted to get more involved, and I started kind of working for them, even though it was a class. It started turning into a class where I got credits for it. That's how I kind of hacked MSU, as I was going to do that anyway, but I got credits for the class, and just started working for them, filming on the sidelines of games because they did Spartan Sports Reports, just a YouTube show. Check them out on YouTube. There's 10 minutes weekly on Monday nights, just recapping everything MSU sports from gymnastics to men's basketball to women's volleyball and um, field hockey, stuff like that, everything. But I started work for them just filming games on the sideline, and that was the coolest thing ever for me. Like you said, you love being around live sporting events. I love being around live sporting events. Now you got this lanyard on you that's out your credential, and you walk around like you're the man, and you can go anywhere you want. You just plop a seat courtside at the opener men's basketball game. That was the first game basketball game that I did, and I just immediately fell in love with it. You know, like you're working, but it was like literally a backstage pass into everything sports, you know, and just
Mhm.
what goes on behind the scenes around in like a major Division 1 sporting event like that, and fell in love with that immediately. And then she came to me and she was like, "Would you like to be on camera and try anchoring the show?" And I was like, yeah, I could try that out. And I just fell in love with that immediately, just like talking about sports. Like we would write scripts that we had everyone that would, if I would go out and shoot for a game, I would then write the script for that game and
Mhm.
work with one of the anchors of the show to develop that script, how they like to read it. And when they did it for me, I just remember thinking, I was like, I know all these games. Like I watched this basketball game last week. I watched
Yeah,
this football game last week. Like they
second
wrote the
nature.
scripts, but I was up there just watching the highlights and ad libbing it, and they loved what I was doing. So that got me to. I ended up working. It was a class, but just working with them all the way through my senior year. Love Spartan Sports Report. That was some of the best friends I've had. We have a group chat to this day of everyone that I was there those 3 years. We still text in it constantly about anything Michigan State sports or stuff like that. And
Yeah.
um, but that got me to Dan Dickerson he taught a class at Michigan State, just a play-by-play class. He
Okay.
teaches it, and you kind of have to like apply to get in the class, sort of. But I mean, LA knew me, and she was like, you do good with this anchoring stuff. Would you be interested in taking this class? And I was like, yeah, I would be interested in taking this class. I mean, I freaking love Dan Dickerson, even if I
Yeah.
didn't want to do play by play ever or anything like that. Like just the opportunity to meet this guy and sit with this guy once a week for 8 weeks. It was literally just before he went down to um, what's it called, spring training or whatever for MLB when they go down to Florida. He just had a like tight little window in the winter where he could teach a class, and I
Wow.
got in there. And he is one of the most genuine guys you could ever meet. Some people say like don't meet your heroes, stuff like that, and he's just the complete opposite. It's just one of the most genuine people you could ever meet. And he was like, you should really try this. Just go out a couple times, practice, bring it back to me. I'll review it. Like he was that in depth where he would actually sit down with you, remember what you did last week,
Mhm.
and talk to you about it. He really cared about what he was doing, and helping people. And I love doing that, and that got me in touch with Big Ten Plus,
Okay.
which they had a class called Big Ten Student U. It wasn't really a class; it was more just like an organization with Michigan State that allowed students to come and just work what Division 1 sporting events like when it wasn't on ESPN or anything. Michigan State basketball, they would show it on Big Ten Plus, which is a different streaming service,
Yeah.
and that's where we would go in there and basically run the whole broadcast just completely student run. It was like the amount of responsibility that they gave us was so amazing. Like it was such a professional environment. The whole control room all run by students, whole operation, producers,
Wow.
everything were students. And there were some amazing people in there that are doing great things right now. Like it wasn't just a run of the mill thing, you had to work for it.
Mhm.
But just the responsibility they gave us was amazing, and there was an opportunity right off the bat. I did a couple things in the control room, just like graphics assistant and stuff, but I just kept telling him, I really want to try calling a game. I really want to try calling a game. I really want to try calling a game. I've always just loved seeing it, and they're like, okay, we got a softball game that a couple guys dropped out on. If you do the prep in the next week or so, you could have it. I was like, done, and did all the prep. Had another guy there that was a pro. He did it for all 4 years. He was on his senior year. He was my color commentator for the first game, so I knew I had him in my back pocket. But I just like the second it started and we're just talking about the game, like all the prep made me feel so nervous. It was like, oh my gosh, I wrote down so many stats. I know where
So
this
much stuff.
freaking girl's
Oh
dad
no.
went to high school, like this bench shortstop. Like I know what she had for lunch last week, so much prep. And I'm like, am I even gonna like where am I gonna get all this stuff in? And then the game starts and we're just talking about the game. And I might have got like 10% of the crazy stats I wrote down in because like stuff's actually happening. And I realized, like yes, you got to over prep, but like it's just reactionary to the game.
Mhm.
And I love that so much that I just wanted to do it more. I got addicted to it, and I started doing play by play for softball and baseball at the end of that season. But then basketball was always my main thing,
Mhm.
and started getting into women's basketball that next year, coming around in junior year, and that's where I loved it. Me and my guy. Derek Mitchell. Shout out to my guy Derek. He was my color commentator
Shout
for
out.
most of my games at Michigan State for women's basketball, and that was like the most fun I've ever had in my life. Is just you're sitting right where the guys who, when they come in and do ESPN, when they come in and do CBS like games, they're sitting right there courtside at the scores table, and you're like,
Right.
am I actually allowed to sit here? Is this like where I'm sitting, or am I
Am I
sitting up
allowed?
up in like a booth? Like when I'm just writing an article for the game. No, like you're sitting right there. You got the headset on. Like you're calling the game.
Right.
It's on TV. I tell my mom, hey, tune in, blah blah blah. You see it, like you get like the players, like moms, like reaching out to you, like, oh my god, blah blah blah. I love what you said about my daughter, stuff like that, and that was just amazing. And it was the best time of my life. I got to call a couple men's games as well, not as
Okay.
many as the women's, just because they were a little tougher
The
to get.
men's are,
Especially when I was
yeah.
coming in to my junior year and just kind of starting off with that. But I did get to call a few of those as well, and it was just that was awesome, the most fun ever. Like you do a lot of work for it, and then it just doesn't feel like work. Once the game starts, it's just
It's
you're
second nature.
going, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
That sounds like an awesome experience. Just working
Hmm.
for a sport news station in general just sounds amazing to me. And the
Hmm.
fact you got hands-on experience with that, let alone it being a class at first. I was about to say y'all have a lot of classes at MSU. I wish I knew about earlier, but that's what's up. You got the credits, you got the experience, and you made the best time out of it. I want to ask you as well, like, what is a day in the life with that? Like, do you have class? I know some games like you probably have class. So what is like your schedule? Like, what's your routine when it comes to
No,
going
yeah.
to
I
those games?
mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the games, like you might have classes for some games, but I mean, I would talk to my professor and they knew what was going on and they knew what I was doing. And I mean, college, I'm not going to lie, like I went to every single class anyway. So, but
Mhm.
there was a balance that you had to do with school and that because that's a lot of just, yes, that one Spartan Sports Report did count as a class just because we had so many people in that club by the time I got to my junior year that they had to make it as a class
Okay.
or they couldn't use one of their professors that was just helping out. So they had to make it a class and get him on as an actual professor. And that's where I just lucked out and got credits for that. But that was from 5 to 9 p.m. on 9 p.m. plus whenever we finished the show. Sometimes I got home
Yeah.
at midnight, that's
Yeah.
just how it works. But that was after hours anyway, that wasn't like my normal school day. So I still had my normal school days. And then afterwards, you had to do prep for stuff like that. The Spartan Sports Report was mostly you did a lot of your work on that Monday. If you brought in your editing, there's usually a good amount to get that package edited and that script written before we got the show. We had a lot of people working on it, so we'd really get that show all kind of done in one night,
Okay.
except for little packages that we do otherwise. But yeah, you go on Monday, you'd have a schedule for the week on who's filming what,
Okay.
who's live tweeting what, who's writing articles for what. You kind of had different positions for each game, and you'd have to fight for those positions to try to get in there.
Yeah.
but that was also the fun of it, and the more work you did, the more they trusted you to do certain things. But you get your schedule for the week or the next week or two, you go out and we'd film games for Spartan Sports Report on wherever they were. I like filming um, a lot of outdoor sports, especially like in the summer, like football and
Hmm.
field hockey, soccer, even though baseball, even though I didn't know much about them. Um, it was interesting just to, learn more about the sport. And those were games that had smaller crowds other than football. So you could really be like involved and maybe talk to the coaches after the game and before the game and get
Yeah.
to know the players, and talk to them before and after the game and get those quotes and stuff like that. And that was just a really cool thing, was being able to interact with these, Division 1 athletes, and a lot of them are going to be pro.
Yeah.
And like when it got to interacting with like Tom Izzo and people on the Michigan State basketball team,
Yeah.
you
Izzo.
really like you feel like they're stars, because like they might not even be someone other than Michigan State. I go to Michigan State and those are all the guys I'm watching. But it's like,
But
man,
even
oh
like
my
the
god,
people they're playing too, like what was like the biggest game, like biggest matchups?
the biggest games. I mean, I was courtside at a few of them. I'm trying to break it down. The
Yeah.
biggest game ever that I wasn't working on, but I was. Um, field side on, I guess, was the Michigan versus Michigan State in 2021
Oh,
when
okay.
we were both 9-0 in football coming into the game, and Michigan State was down 16 points at halftime, ended up coming back to win it at our place. Our running back Kenneth Walker had 5 touchdowns, and that was just like amazing to see up that close. Like I wasn't filming the game or anything either, so I could just lock in on that. I'll give you a bad one.
Yeah. What's
The
a
most
bad game?
devastating was we opened the season my senior year, I believe, against JMU, James Madison,
Yeah,
and this
Jam.
is in
Yeah.
basketball, men's basketball, and we were ranked top 10 before the season. I know we were ranked somewhere in there. Just had such high hopes for the season. We had a lot of seniors coming back that were going to be great talent, and we ended up losing to James Madison University in the opening game of the year, and I was right
I
under the
remember hearing about that
basket.
game.
Yeah, I was right under the
Yeah.
basket for that. It was a close game that came down to the wire, and we just had James Madison's bench right in front of me, cheering and everything, and I'm just heartbroken. Like, what the heck just happened? And I'm
Yeah.
stunned.
What the
But
fuck?
yeah, those are some of the highs and lows.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other. There was one time that I was courtside video, and I don't even remember what game, and a basketball was coming at the camera, and they're very expensive cameras, so I did the right thing, and I decided to save the camera and move the camera. I got hit right in the face, and I
Oh
thought it would all
no.
be good. But we're also friends with the guys upstairs who are doing replays and camera work for everything. Like we're all working on the same team. So of course, after the game, I go in the text threads and we just got the slow motion videotape of this ball hitting me in the face in HD.
Dang.
Um,
The
yeah,
OP.
yeah, there was a lot of good experiences like that. I'm trying to think if I saw any game winners or anything live hand. I know that there were some that I didn't get to work at, but I was calling a game one time, and Mo Joyner, she was a dog on MSU women's basketball team,
Mm-hmm.
and she hit like a 3/4 court shot, and my mic peaked out like crazy, and I just kept hearing in my ear, calm down, Mo Joyner, half court shot, bang,
Yeah.
Um,
Bang.
yeah, there was a lot of good experiences just being around. Um,
MSU sports. Yeah.
yeah, MSU sports like that. I wouldn't trade that for the world. I think I got more out of doing all that than I did taking regular classes.
Mm.
And
Okay.
that's what I feel like college is about. Like you just gotta do the extracurricular things and get out there in the community rather than. I mean, the classes do get you the degree, but it's about like the relationships and the
And the
networking and the
connections.
connections you
Yeah.
make while you're there that go far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. That's a wonderful experience just to hear about. Like I said, working for a big sports network in college, getting that experience, building those connections, those relationships that could last a lifetime. Like that is amazing. So transitioning after MSU, you go into the AJGA. Year what we started in March of this year, 2025. We're both communications traveling partners.
Mm.
And we talked, you know what I'm saying, about the experience. We talked about the tournaments, the team, things of that nature. What what did you gain from that experience personally?
I gained a lot. I mean, for one, I had a blast doing it just because of how much I love golf and being around there. I feel like I learned some things about myself and what I want to do for a career, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I I did enjoy being the communications, and I do enjoy, like I said, interacting with athletes like that, and those are kids playing at the highest level you could play at, and a lot of them are going to be pros.
Right.
That was my favorite parts of the job, was being able to interview them and interact with them and do videos of them, form relationships with them. um, I mean, I learned a few things though about how, I might not want to do social media for a career, stuff like that,
Yeah.
and want to focus. Like I'd want to be around sports, but I don't know if like media like that is the route that I would want to go in. I think I gained um, skills just being flexible with your schedule, and
Mm-hmm.
because I mean we were really at the will of those tournaments on whatever happened. The first week that we worked there, we were working 14-hour days
Mm-hmm.
and just nonstop. Wake up early in the morning, late nights, and then you got to pick everything up the next week and go to the next site. Like you really got to be flexible with your schedule and ready to work like deadlines back to back to back. Like these tournaments don't wait for us to get the stuff out. Like we have to get the right content out before the tournament ends. And if that
Yeah.
doesn't happen, then we just have nothing. And that's what I mean. We saw like some other people struggled with that in the AJGA, not getting their content out on time because they weren't used to working with deadlines like that. And I think that was like a really good skill that it gave us working in like a high pressure environment like that, for that it's a large organization that's counting on you to get something done at a certain time. And
Right. Yeah. With so much responsibility at that. And like you
mhm,
said, we did a lot of prep work before the tournaments, like on the weekends, those Sunday nights. Like we did a lot of stuff on the back end, looking at trends and scrolling on our phones for just hours and seeing
mhm,
what we could come up with just to get a video, at least one video out, you know what I'm saying? And posting and doing all, like I said, just the dirty work beforehand. It definitely, I feel like I agree, like it definitely allowed us to learn how to work like for a deadline and keeping
mhm.
that same schedule and routine and just being on top of things like that.
And working with a deadline when you don't know what's going to happen with the tournament. Like
Mhm.
we're at a tournament and a whole entire day gets rained out that we had content planned for, and we
Yeah,
had to switch our whole plan on the fly and do rain delay content or whatever we did. You have to be able to take things into your own hands and be responsible and get stuff done,
get
for
stuff
lack of a
done.
better word. So,
Yeah, absolutely. What was one of your favorite tournaments? Like
favorite tournaments?
the whole 9 yards. Like your from the course to the gameplay. Like what was your favorite tournament working?
I mean, there's a few. Probably my favorite week was being in um, Florida for the Innisbrook tournament,
Yeah, I like
and
Innsbruck.
that was just because we were coming off a couple weeks in North Carolina where we were just in the middle of nowhere, drowning in pollen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not like we were up here in the cold in Michigan winter. I guess that was better than that, but we were just waiting to get pretty much anywhere else
Anywhere
for.
pretty.
Yeah, and just being down there, it was such perfect weather. That resort they got down there is paradise. There's pools and
Awesome.
everything. The golf
So
course is
beautiful.
just pristine and beautiful, floral stuff everywhere, palm trees. Whenever I see a palm tree, I feel like that just makes you get in a better mood immediately.
Yeah.
And that was probably my favorite week. And we had a great hotel rooms, like full kitchens and stuff like that. Like that was we were
Oh
living lavish for that week. Good
yeah.
headquarters that we had, a lot of space to work with. Like there was nothing to complain about that week. So that was probably my favorite week. My favorite place to be at was Bethpage, New York, our last week because one, I'd never been to New York before. We got some good experience running around town on a
Oh
couple
yeah, we
days we
did.
got off. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did as much in New York as you could in probably 2 days. All the
Yeah.
touristy stuff, and also one of our colleagues was from around there, so she got to take
Mhm.
us to some of the local spots that she liked. Uh, and for one, that course is historic. They're having a huge tournament this year, the Ryder Cup there, where it's like USA versus Europe, and
Mhm.
it's just such an iconic course to see in real life and to say you've been there and to have merch from there and stuff like that is amazing just to see something that historic. And those couple days we had off were probably the best couple days off that I've had there, just the most fun.
Same.
We did
Yeah.
everything, going to
We did
Mets
too.
games, going like all the tourist sites and all the food. I'm a big food guy. Getting John's on Bleecker Street pizza, which is supposed to be the best stuff there, was just next level for me. Those are definitely the top two. Trying to think, underrated. I'll give you the
Underrated.
most
Yeah.
underrated one was the Ohio one, just because not that I had crazy fun there or anything, but I was kind of dreading that on the schedule when I first saw that. It's like, okay, we get to go to North Carolina and Florida and New York and all these cool places. But then there's like one week in Ohio in the middle of
Ohio.
that. It's like
Yeah.
I live close to Ohio. I've never heard of Findlay, Ohio.
Mhm.
But that course was just as beautiful as a country club course could be. Beautiful facilities inside. The course was pristine. The
It was
weather was
very
really
pretty.
good for Ohio in
Yeah.
April. Like it was like 70s, 80s every day. That
Nice.
was the
Yeah.
most underrated week. Three different answers right there.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I agree. Ohio was underrated, like given the course. Like it was nice fairways and greens.
Mm,
But the one thing I didn't like about the course was there was no signs. So I didn't know
no
what hole I
signs.
was I didn't know what hole I was on when I drove out there on the carts and stuff. So that was a little bit like frustrating, just trying to like figure out, all right, what like I need pictures of this one kid, but I need to get the whole nine, but I'm on hole 18. So how to
Hmm.
like or hole 17 or something like that. Like I just it was just confusing for me
No,
personally.
that is, I mean, for anyone that's never been to a course
Yeah.
before for the first time and you get there and there's no signs, and especially it's like that one where stuff's winding all in between each other.
Hmm.
That was awful, but that's how they want it to be, that old country club style where there's just the nature out there. I don't like that either. It's even confusing for me, someone who knows a course. Even after we played that course one day, I was still getting lost the next day out there just because I didn't know where I was at because there's no signs on any hole.
Right. Yeah.
That
Exactly.
was annoying.
That was so annoying to me. But like I said, I love the course. The course was pretty. We had pretty good weather except for like the last day when it rained.
Hmm.
That and we had to like flip our whole plan, execution plan
Yeah,
for the media stuff.
I had to adapt to that. Yeah, we still got
Yeah.
it off though. Hey,
We did. Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, absolutely.
fight
Um
through it.
yeah. What which I know you, Spencer, and Liam, y'all went to a lot of courses and played at, but I know you went to I believe it was the one in North Carolina.
Pinehurst.
Pinehurst, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, what was that like playing on that course?
that was amazing. That was like, if you talk about Bethpage being like a historic site, I think that's just even another level because
Mhm.
I feel like if you go to people that don't watch golf or anything, if they only know a couple courses in the country, they know of maybe Augusta, and that's the Masters course, and
Yeah.
Pinehurst is probably right up there with one that they know just because of how iconic of a course that is. They play a lot of major golf events there, the majors, and that's like golf heaven is Pinehurst, North Carolina. It's literally they made it. It's not a golf course. It's a city called Pinehurst, North Carolina. That's just probably 90% golf courses, and they have on Pinehurst golf course property. I think they have 10 courses, and that's along with all the other
10's a
properties that they
lot.
have there. So we
It's a lot of
played. They have
courses.
their courses by numbers. We played Pinehurst number 3, but that was an amazing day. That was probably, now that I think about it, that rivals the New York days was one of the best days off because we just spent the whole day there. Their clubhouse is like a museum of everything that's
Mhm.
happened throughout there, all the history at that course, and golf course was amazing. You go afterwards, and there's just a train that's turned into a bar that you could sit on, and you just watch these shots people are taking on a course that you've seen on TV 20 times before. So that was an amazing experience. And apparently, we missed Patrick Mahomes and Travis
Yeah, and
Kelsey
Travis
by a
Kelsey.
day. They came there the next day. So
Dang. Yeah, I
the
remember y'all
best
telling
thing
us.
about that day off was getting a text that we had a late start the next morning. I think that's what might trump that as the best day off. It's getting that text at the end of the day and we're all celebrating like, oh yeah, just have another one and
Yeah.
stay longer.
So do you well Pinehurst? I know you guys talked about that a lot when we were away.
Hmm.
Um, and I know you talked about like how pristine it was. I didn't know it was 10 courses like
Hmm.
in that. So how that's a lot.
Yeah, Pinehurst number 2 is the one that they play those major events at, and that one there's a few courses there where you have to stay and play. You have to stay on their actual resort to play them. But they do have a bunch that are open to the public. It's just like I said, we drove through there and probably for the last 20 minutes before we get to the course on both sides of the road is just golf courses everywhere.
Dang. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
It's where
what's up.
just old people go to retire and play golf for the rest of their lives. It's probably my
Yeah.
future.
Well, I know you, Spencer, and Liam, y'all are very close. Y'all were the only boys in our group, and it was just what 5 girls. And I love hearing how like y'all would go out and play golf, just like the three of y'all, and have a good time. But I think also like one of my favorite moments was just watching March Madness with y'all, because I knew I wanted to watch the games, but I was like, all right, well, I had them playing on the TV, but the fact we actually got together and like watched the games and like enjoyed each other's company. Like, I think that was like one of my favorite like downtime moments. For sure, just hanging out with the guys. It would be like Nat and
No,
the guys. Yeah, like
no, yeah, Nat and the guys, that was a great
like
move.
that was
A few times. We went out to some different bars and watched whether it was
yeah
men's or women's basketball, and then that one time I had the nice house set up. We all came and watched March Madness there. Yeah, I mean that's my favorite thing to do is sit down and watch hoops. And honestly, you were probably more well educated in hoops than either of those guys were. So it was nice to have you there.
yeah. Especially
But
Spencer trash talking and
yeah, he was always a big trash talker. Yeah, he just
yeah
got to fight through that. But yeah, no, I love that too. I mean, like I said, watching basketball, talking about basketball, that's some of my favorite things to do. Especially March Madness is the best time of the year. So
exactly. And
that
we were
was.
just we had enough time just to watch enough games, and
Hmm.
even at work we were watching the games while we were working. Like it was just
Hmm.
I was like, yo, I'm not like certain games. I was like, I have to have it playing like while we're on the computer. Like,
Oh no, yeah, you
yeah,
can't miss that. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. But
for sure.
Bomber, yeah, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
Nat.
for sharing your story. You know, I love to hear you talk about sports, whether it's football, basketball, golf. I just love it. And also, just thank you just for guiding me in the rules of golf, like throughout the internship, because I was clueless. Like, just coming to a course and like you have being my little tour guide, like that was amazing. And I enjoyed each experience I had with you and everybody on the team. But thank you again for sharing your story. And we're gonna have to do this again sometime and get a life update. But before I close out, I just want to ask you one more question. What's next for Brendan Bomber?
What's next for me? I actually just kind of took a avenue turn in my life. I just started a job this past week. It is at a sports network. It's a local sports network called Woodward Sports Network in Michigan. That's they've been blowing up the past few years. But it's a local network, and I interviewed with them just based on my media background and stuff like that. And the guy offered me a sales job there.
Okay.
And basically, the way he pitched me it, you could tell he was a salesman by the way he pitched me it himself. He was like, we got 7 to 10 interns here that are not getting literally paid a thing and
Hmm.
are just fighting their way to get in a booth and do audio for us on one of these shows, or you can be around this atmosphere and still work with these people and maybe have an opportunity to be a part of one of these shows and make some money selling just sponsorships and advertising. And I mean, we did
A little bit of
sponsorship
marketing and
relations.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we did sponsorship relations with AJGA and worked with a lot of sponsors like that. So
Hmm.
that's what I'm starting out to do. And just started out hot, already making a couple deals for this company. So
Nice.
I got signed on, and it's been honestly amazing.
I'm
I've never
glad.
saw
Yeah.
myself as a salesman or anything like that, but just in that I'll get used to. I'm still very, very early on in it and getting the hang of it. But just being around like these shows, it's still, I mean, we're not ESPN, so everyone's in house and at the studio.
Okay.
And some of the personalities we have are like, I mean, these are just Michigan people, but Darren McCarty was Red Wings player. He won 4 Stanley Cups for the Red Wings, and he's a host on the show. And like I talk to him every day. And Braylon Edwards, who was a Michigan football player for 4 years, played in the NFL for 10 years,
Hmm.
and I talk to him every day, and he's my coworker now. And just being
Wow.
around these people. And the other week, I go out and we do like a Tigers pregame show at a bar, and I'm just around these live events still, like the Tigers games and stuff like that. And it's been amazing. So hopefully I could crack my way onto one of these shows or something like that in my
Yeah.
off time, because that's always just like a little avenue that I'm always going to want to explore. But if that can be more of a side hustle, then I
Making
think
good
that
money too.
that could be the way to go. Yeah. So that's what I'm up to right now. Very recent, very fresh change in my life. I'm
Yeah.
still getting used to things. But yeah, that's what you got to do. That's what we did with the AJGA. Like, it's a big leap that you take,
Yeah.
and sometimes you just got to take it.
Absolutely, I agree. I'm so glad to hear that for you. I'm proud of you, Bomber. You know you
Thanks, Nat.
always be my comms partner in crime, man. You know we gonna stay connected. But like I said, proud of you, man. Thank you so much for your time. You guys tune in to the another episode of the Nat Clark Show. We plan on dropping on Friday, if not Saturday. But just be on the lookout. We will be available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So just be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for tuning in again. Y'all stay safe and God bless. Thank you, Bomber.
Thanks, Nat, for having me.